Hi guys, and welcome to your second project on EasyPy 3, an income tax calculator. Just so you know, I'll be looking at the bands and the rates for England as that's where I'm from. Let's go through this tax table so you understand what we are going to do. Here in England, there's no tax on income of up to £12,500. This is called a personal allowance. If your income is above £12,500, you're taxed 20% on up to £37,500. That is above £12,500. If you earn above 50,000 and less than 150,000, you will be taxed 20% for the first 37,500 and 40% for anything above. Finally, if you earn over £150,000, you will be taxed 20% for 37,500, 40% for between 37,500 and 150,000, and 45% for anything above 150,000. I hope I haven't lost you with the numbers because there's one more condition. If you earn over £100,000, your personal allowance will go down £1 for every £2 of your income that is over 100,000, which means you get no personal allowance if you earn above £125,000. I know it may sound confusing, and to be fair, it is if you're not good with numbers, but once you see the if statements in Python, it will become a lot clearer. So with that said, let's get started. Okay, start by opening a new file, and the first thing we're going to do is create variables. Let's start with the things we know. We know that the personal allowance is £12,500. And we know that the personal allowance limit is 100,000. And now let's write the bands. We know that basic band is up to 37,500. And the higher band is £150,000. And now let's write the rates. We know that basic rate is 20%, which is 0.2. And the higher rate is 0.4. And the additional rate is 0.45. Okay, now let's start coding our program. And we'll start by putting a title in. So I'm just going to write print income tax calculator. And now let's ask the user for salary. So we're going to create a variable called salary. And we're going to use the input function to ask for the salary. And we've got to make sure this is a float because we don't want a string. Next, we're going to start our conditional statements. First condition I'm going to write is to figure out the personal allowance because it's not the same for everyone. So we're going to write if salary is greater than personal allowance limit, then the personal allowance is equal to personal allowance minus, and in brackets we're going to write salary minus personal allowance limit divided by 2. Now this can be rewritten using the assignment operator as personal allowance minus equal to, and we get rid of the personal allowance from there, and the rest can stay the same. What this does is it minuses £1 for every £2 that's above £100,000. We don't want the personal allowance to go less than 0, so we're going to have a nested condition in here that says if personal allowance is less than 0, then personal allowance is equal to 0. Now we could finish this condition off with an else statement saying that if the salary isn't greater than the allowance limit, then do nothing, but not writing anything does the same thing. Okay, now we're going to work out what is a taxable income. So we're going to create a variable called taxable income, and we're going to assign salary minus personal allowance to that. because remember, a certain amount is not taxable. Now we're going to write all the conditions for the tax rate bands. If taxable income is less than or equal to 0, then tax is 0, because obviously this is below the allowance. Else, if taxable income is greater than 0, and the taxable income is less than or equal to the basic band, which we've already defined at the top, then the tax is equal to the taxable income times the basic rate. And then we're going to write else if taxable income is greater than the basic band and the taxable income is less than or equal to the higher band, then tax is equal to, in brackets, basic band times the basic rate plus, and then brackets again, taxable income minus the basic band times the higher rate. Because this way they are being taxed for the basic band and the money that's above the basic band is being taxed with a higher rate. Finally, we can use either an else if or an else statement. And we're going to use an else statement for anything above that. So we're going to write else tax equal to the basic band times basic rate as above, plus, and we're going to do the higher band minus the basic band times the higher rate, plus wherever you're earning the taxable income minus the higher band times the additional rate. Because only whatever you're earning above the higher band gets taxed at the additional rate. Now we're going to round the values down to 2 decimal points because money only goes in 2 decimal points. So we're going to write year underscore tax equal to round, and this is an inbuilt function. As you can see, it changes color. And the arguments we're going to give it is the variable tax. And the second argument is how many decimal points we want. So we're going to put comma 2 and close bracket. Now this is the yearly tax. So if we want the monthly tax, we're going to create a new variable and we're going to say monthly tax equal to, again, we're going to round it. So we're going to do round tax divided by 12 because there's 12 months. And again, we're going to do it to 2 decimal points. Finally, we're going to print out the result. We're going to use an F string. So we're going to write print and then F and then the quote mark. And we're just going to write your income tax yearly is, and then the pound, and then I'm just going to use the curly brackets with year underscore tax, and then we'll say and monthly is pound sign, and then we're going to use the curly bracket again, and we can go ahead and run that. Now if I enter a salary, say 30,000, it tells us that yearly tax is £3,500 and the monthly is 291.67. And if I run that again, and this time we do a salary of say 12,000, it tells us the tax is 0 because up to 12,500 is free. And if I run that one more time, and this time I put in £126,000, we get 42,900 and 3575. Brilliant, it works. As you can see, the figures match up with the calculators online. I hope you found this real-life example of Python useful. If you're from another country, you can find your rates and bands online and use this project as a guide to make a calculator for your own country. If you are from England, know that there's also a national insurance. So you could always modify this project and add the national insurance to it. If something didn't make sense to you, just ask and I'll be happy to help.